tells me where to put it. It also tells me something else, that I could maybe put it in shared, and this could be a shared resource. Now, I did that just now in Visual Studio, so I can hit F5 and have it crash horrifically. Why did that crash, Phil? Let's go find. What's that? Did I recompile? Should I have to recompile a view? No. Yeah. And the cake is done. Woohoo! Yeah. How can a dinner not have have an ID? Touché, anonymous voice in the crowd. Well played, sir. Well played. You didn't write the code. Why is it not working? Ah! So skillful and seasoned presenter that I am, I meant to do that. Yeah, so. Thank you, anonymous voice. I owe you a taco. Repo.getDinner doesn't exist. I love that you guys keep me honest. So if this dinner doesn't come back, then let's go and say return view not found. And if it did work, then we'll say return view dinner. Now this doesn't exist yet. Oops, not dinner, D. This doesn't exist yet, so we'll go ahead and generate that stub and then pop over there. I don't know all of the hotkeys, but I do okay. And I don't know why it always makes things internal. There we go. And then we'll go and say dinners and give me a single dinner. Oops. Most nerd dinners at my house are a single dinner. If the wife is still talking to me, it's usually just me, which is a nerd dinner, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go and grab that nerd dinner right there. And we're going to return it. But let's do this. We haven't made a not found yet. Let's go and say dinners details 99999. So didn't find not found. Now, I've been generating views so far, but I don't necessarily have to do that. I could just say I want to call it not found, and it's really not going to be based on anything at all. And I'll just get a basic one, and I'll say, dude, you're dining alone. F5. Right? So there we've got a not found handler for typing in that stuff. So now we got this. So, he's like, thank you for finishing the work you should have done earlier in the talk. So that's pretty interesting. So people say that it's not like dragging data grids across from the toolbox, and it's not. I mean, it really is different. It doesn't have that real control, draggy encapsulation of functionality mechanism. But if you understand what you're trying to do, you can achieve some pretty quick things with not a lot of effort. But a lot of people are uncomfortable with this notion of generation, the idea that I've generated something, maybe I didn't have control over it. So one of the things, a little more advanced technique that we could do to make this page look nicer would be to pull some code generation templates that were used. When you say add view and you pop this open, these are T4 templates. These are default code templates that come with MVC, and you can modify them. And because of this convention that they've put in where if you find a file, use it, and if you don't, do something else, it's really kind of elegant. We can go and pop over to this folder, which is deep, deep in the bowels of Microsoft Program File, Common 7, This is down. These zip files represent the file new something. Right? So when you say file new something, Visual Studio is unzipping that, and it's doing that. This is how you can make your own stuff. But what we want to see is code templates. Add controller and add viewer in there. I'm just going to grab that entire folder, code templates, and I'm going to drag it over here. Where's Phil? Where do I drag it, Phil? Drag it to the root, he says, and it doesn't work. I think that's... No, I think it's because I blew away Explorer earlier and ran it as admin. When you have something running as admin and something that's not running as admin, you can't drag things between them, which is stupid of me to run Explorer as admin. Makes it easier, though. Switch over here and hit refresh and see nothing. Then I click the Don't Lie to Me button. I always think, like maybe the 5th time I hit refresh, it'll show up, but it never does. And then there's a trick, though. I don't really want these compiled, right? Phil showed me this. These are text templates, but I don't really want any custom tools. I don't want them to do anything because they're not being used at compilation time. They're being used by the system, by that file new dialog. And let's see if we open up details. Now, T4 is this templating technology, and this is already in Visual Studio. You have this. You may know that you have this already. It's the greatest secret inside of Visual Studio, that you have a complete code generation engine inside there. But you don't get syntax highlighting. So, it's not really exposed in a very cool way. There are a lot of editors that you can get, like the Clarius T4 editor. They'll get you syntax highlighting. And this is kind of code next to code, so you switch in and out of these contexts. So let's scroll down and find that for loop here. Yeah, so here's some HTML, and then here's some code. All right, so field set and legend is being output, and then there's some code for each property and properties. That's where it's spinning through that dinner object. So we switch back here, property key value. Property key value. So if we put in like poop before that, and then go back over here, and we'll toss details, and we'll go add view, and we'll make a dinner detail. And you see, because I called my template details, it overrode it. But what's cool is that I could make other templates, and they would show up in here. So this is where you can do some real serious damage at your company, is making your own custom kinds of views. And we'll go and hit add, and then regen that. So I could make mobile views or custom views returning RSS or whatever kind of thing you wanted to return. You have control because you're ultimately just generating text. He gives you that flexibility to just drop that code templates in. And what's cool about that is I can now give my project to Rob as a zip file, and the code templates lives in there. And he can immediately use it. He doesn't have to go and install anything in program files. So it's overriding the defaults, which is pretty hot. And then, of course, I probably need to. Oh, yeah, I forgot to name it details. So that's cool. So this is the part where I will then wave my hands and go and do create and edit and update and delete. Let's switch over to step 2. So you can generate your CRUD stuff very, very quickly. I have a buddy of mine sat down at Chipotle yesterday, and we wrote down a whole list of jokes that I would tell in case Visual Studio started to take a long time. So anytime we're waiting for longer than like 4 or 5 seconds, I'll just bust out with really bad one-liners from the web. So here's version 2, and let's see how we're doing here. So we fast-forwarded a little bit. The site still looks about the same. All right, so I've moved things around a little bit. We've got our list of dinners. I changed the way that looked. We've got some stuff going on there. On this home page here, there's a couple things that I want to change. I want to add a map that we saw just a moment ago in the details. I want to have maps in here. I want to look up some popular dinners, so that's something I want to make a change to. But one of the things also is that I don't really like this URL. The URL is /dinner/details. Let me freeze on that. So by default, the route that we were given was controller, action, and then ID, which is a really great default route and works for a lot of stuff. But considering that I'm trying to launch a new company here, nerddinner.com, I don't want to tell people, hey, dude, nerddinner.com/dinner/details/4. It just doesn't quite roll off the tongue. So I wanted to make it like nerddinner.com/7. That's kind of my goal. So I want to change that, but I don't really want to make any major changes in the application. And I really haven't been thinking about URLs yet. So what we can do is we can poke around inside of routing. Routing is a fundamental aspect of ASP.NET MVC that a lot of people initially dismiss as URL rewriting. And this is a really, really important point.